Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm Kristine Drummond and welcome to another episode of Boss Talks. I've got the amazing Joel Lord with me here, my business and partner in crime. And today we're going to talk about how to hold a workshop that doesn't suck. There's a lot of coaches out there that we work with. There's a lot of people that love to be at the front of the room presenting. And we're going to give you our tips on how to hold a kick-ass workshop for your clients, for your potentials, family, friends, whoever you want to have in that room. But there is a cost to listening to our podcast, and the cost is, it's actually free, but we would love you to share these podcasts with your family and friends. If you get value from this, if you know someone, especially with this one today, if you know someone out there in the community that's in your connections that is looking to hold workshops or looking to be a coach, a speaker, any of that kind of thing, then please share this podcast with them. We want to go all the way to number one. We think that we're number one anyway. Joel and I have poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into personal development courses, workshops, you name it. We've done it, retreats, and now we get to verbally give you back a lot of that information for free, and we absolutely love it. It lights us up. And today, you know, Joel and I, we recently held our first workshop under the one banner, and it was a massive success. We have been interviewing all the people that came on the day, getting their feedback, and no one has had any unwows, what we like to call the unwows. And that's a very good place to start. What Joel and I love to do with our workshops is provide that wow factor, you know, and going to a lot of workshops, we've seen what works, what doesn't work, little touches that just make the whole experience memorable. And that's what we're going to give you today. So Joel, have you got anything to add before we get into the nitty gritty?
Oh, look, let's just hit the nitty gritty. I reckon like we want people to have successful workshops because we want you to be successful. And that's really what this podcast is all about. And, you know, we just love sharing our experiences. Like we weren't perfect. We weren't perfect. And I think the number one thing that went through my head was, and a lot of people that holds people back is probably like, what if no one shows up? And I think that scares a lot of people. I know that scares a lot of people because I coach many people to get success in this area. And, you know, we've been around the traps for a while. And yeah, this was our first one together. But in my mind, Kristine, and I know you had a similar thought, like if no one came to our event, I would have done the entire event to the dash hound. Like my dog would have sat on the chair and eaten a lot of vegan food, a lot of really good vegan food, and would have got the best, would have been the most personally developed dog on the planet. Like I'm telling you. So that's the first one. Like, are you willing to do the event if no one shows up? And would you literally do the event to a empty room? And most people probably think, well, probably not. Why would I? But you've paid for the room. You've done all the work. You've probably practiced a lot. You might as well do it live. Like even do it to a video camera, and you know just have a go. Like you might as well take advantage of like make a positive out of a perceived negative. And realistically, if no one did show up, which you could most likely walk out on the street and say, hey, here's a free event. You could give free events out, free seats out if you had to. Like, all it's telling you is that you just maybe need to get better at marketing or sales. That has no bearing on whether your event's great or not. But yeah, that was my number one thing that, you know, I had to overcome from years ago, where I thought, well, what if no one shows up? What does that mean for me? What does that mean about who I am? And guys, it means it's got nothing to do with you. It just means that you need more skills in something. So I don't know, Kristine, you probably got a lot to say as well. So what do you reckon?
I've always got lots to say, you know that. But I've held a lot of workshops over the years, and usually they're always free. And I'm going to give you the pros and cons of holding free events because yes, they can work and they can help you lead people into the next thing if you've got something to lead them into. But here's the thing, free events, people don't have skin in the game. So they're more likely to cancel. They're not as willing to value your time, your effort, if it's just a free event. Whereas if you're actually charging for the event and they're paying for it, they're likely to put their butt on a seat, right? I just went to a ladies' luncheon today, and it was $35, but I got to network and meet the most amazing local women in business. And there's no way I was cancelling on that. One, because I love food and I wanted to go for the food. I also love people, and I wanted to meet new people and new friends, and there was wine. So tick, tick, tick for me. So when you're holding a workshop, and I'm going to backtrack a bit and I'm going to run you through very basically what Joel and I did when we held our first workshop together, but we had the intention. What do we actually want this workshop to do? What do we want to provide? And how many people do we want in the room? We said, okay, well, we've got a space. Let's just go for 20. We want 20 people in the room. And we actually were lucky enough to have a room that it didn't cost us for room hire. However, we didn't have any furniture. We didn't have a flip chart. We didn't have anything set up to be able to do this workshop. So we went out and we bought the chairs. We went out and we bought plants. We made sure we had a beautiful scent. So we had candles burning. We had music playing. We had a special, playlist that we played. So we were making sure that we were touching on everybody's senses. So sight, the ambience of the room was important. They were looking out onto the water. The lighting was amazing. You got to think about the lighting. You have to think about the temperature of the room. Is it too hot, too cold? You have to think about the smell. What does it smell like? What can they see? What can they touch? So the first thing that people had to do when they came into the room was they had to write something on our thought board. We had a thought board. So we wanted to find what was their power word for the day, or what was their intention for the day. So straight away, they're touching something. They're having to think as soon as they walk in the door. And then what we did was once we introduced ourselves and shared a bit of our story, we got them straight into an icebreaker, to bring some fun, some laughter, that connection, and to get them out of their comfort zones as well. So all this stuff was kind of pre-planned. Now, I had no idea what Joel was going to talk about on the day. I kind of knew his topics, and he had no idea what I was going to talk about on the day, but we had it planned. We had timing sections, and we held each other accountable to those times, and we made sure that we didn't run over. How many people have been to a workshop and it runs over, and it's so annoying? We actually finished ours early, which I think everyone loved us for. So these are just little things to add in that it's all part of the experience, guys. You want to create a memorable experience. You want to get people feeling something, when they're there. And by making sure you're covering all those bases, like sight, sound, taste, the food that we had was amazing. And here's the thing with food as well. What happens if you're having a big carb loaded meal at some of these workshops is you come back after the lunch break and you feel exhausted, you feel tired, your energy is lower. So we put on a vegan lunch, which was basically make your own Buddha bowl, which was really cool. And then we turned that into a competition as well. So everyone got to creatively design their Buddha bowls. And everyone came back feeling really light, feeling really energized, and no one was falling asleep by the end of the day. And these were just little things that we carefully thought about before the event. Okay, so we're giving you these tips. So if you're out there thinking of holding a workshop, what are some of the things that you can incorporate to make sure that people are energized, to make sure the lighting, the mood, the energy stays at the level that you want it to? So Joel, do you want to add in anything to that?
Yeah, well, first of all, you've got to think your clients or your potential people that are going to come to your event, they've got to be, what's in it for me? So just remember WeFM. So they're thinking, what's in it for me? And if you want to make it free, you need to really make sure that they know what's in it for them. So like a great way to do that would be through to let them know that there's huge networking opportunities. Let them know who's going to be in the room. Let them know that they're going to be able to meet people and possibly make extra money. That'll get people, like free networking events, they tend to get people to show up. We definitely, in my belief, the type of people we want in our room, we wanted to make sure that they were committed, and we wanted to make sure that yeah, there was a certain level of buy-in, and I don't believe that people get addicted to free. So like if they're not seeing some value if we don't put some value on what we were going to bring, then how we're expecting our potential customers and clients to do the same. I think the thing that really shocked people was that our event, unlike many, 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 many other events, we didn't charge people the money and then pitch to them all day. It wasn't like 20 minutes of content and 40 minutes of join our program. And look, it all works. I'm not saying that the other way is wrong. They've got a business. The other places that do that have got a business model. But I think, I know in interviewing the people afterwards and, on the day and afterwards, they were like so relieved and refreshed that there was no solid hard pitch. Like we had an invitation to learn more, and nearly everyone took us up on it. And there was no pitch. There was no way that anyone could buy anything on the day. And that really allowed people to be really relaxed around us. And they didn't know that. So, you have a look at other events. They might have a big keynote speaker at the front. Then they have all these salespeople in the middle, and that upsets everyone. Then they have a really big keynote speaker at the end. And it's all designed like NLP, like the news, like, leave people feeling really good with this big speaker. Like we all know the events where we think we're going to go get great information. It's going to change our lives. And yeah, they have their place, but you get pitched all day. We didn't want to be like that. And I've seen many, many, many successful people, the Kirk Ashleys, the Scott DeMorlans, that just do it in a different way. And they just look like they do it with ease. So if you're doing an event, yes, you want to have some sort of upsell. You're not doing an event just for your health. If you're running a business, you want to be able to have some strategy to make money, and you can do it without being this crazy pitch artist at the end and like make people feel like crap if they don't buy. And I've seen it, and it actually offends me. I'm like 1 microsecond off going on a rant actually, but yeah, it really does prey on people who are vulnerable. And like what I'm really proud of in our business is like Kristine, we won't even offer next products if it's going to put people in financial difficulty. Like what business does that? Like hopefully conscious businesses, but so what I'm really getting at is, guys, you can charge like we did. We charged for our event, and we really turned it on. Like our goal was to have people walking away going, oh, wow, was the content the best? Was the ambience the best? Was the food the best? Was like wow, was it the room was the best? Like what was the best part about that? I don't know. Like we did something crazy. Like we gave avocados away at the end. Like who the hell does that? That's some crazy stuff, but what an anchor, right? What a way to leave people, like by giving unconditionally. Like people were saying that they would have paid like thousands of dollars for our event. So I don't know, guys, like we seem to have like, this isn't us just being brilliant. We didn't come up with this strategy. We modeled people that made us feel great, and we steered clear away from the people that made us feel like crap. So don't get seduced by those slick ways of doing business. And cause like, honestly, I don't think people want to come back to that. They get that yucky feeling and they get buyer's remorse, and we don't want that. We want people just like enrolling into our next level, not feeling like they were sold and then feeling, oh, now I've got to go back and tell them I don't want to do it. And I don't really want that phone call. And I don't, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that part, Kristine. Like, what do you reckon? How did you find that people thought about the no pitch part?
Yeah, they absolutely loved it. We've received a lot of good feedback about that. And you're right, we don't get people in financial hardship by trying to push them into our next level programs, which is amazing, because I definitely have felt that pressure from coaches in the past, and it's not nice. It's not a nice feeling at all. So for me, I want to sort of share a little bit now. Well, how do we get the 20 people in there? Because I've held events before and the free events and no one's showed up. So I've definitely been there, and I've had events where a lot of people have showed up. But for me, what we did was we went to our contacts. We went to people that we knew that, are open-minded. That's the first thing, that are open-minded. We went to people that we knew are open to growing. We went to people that we knew that might be looking for help in expanding their businesses or their life, that, want to take their life and things to the next level. So it was just a matter of reaching out to friends, family, colleagues, connections, those people, and just putting it out there. So we held it on the Gold Coast. So we started, messaging people in the Gold Coast area. And then we started to ask them, well, who else do you know? And then people started referring people and bringing friends along with them as well. Now, when people got into the room, we had a workbook for them. We had a pen for them. There's nothing worse than getting to a workshop and you've forgotten your pen, and then there's interruption because someone's asking someone, oh, have you got a spare pen in the middle of the workshop? So we eliminated all those type of distractions. We had a self-development book. We actually had Ed Milet's Max Out book, which is amazing. And we had a handwritten note thanking every individual that came on the day. Well, actually congratulating them. We didn't thank them. We said congratulations for taking the effort to be here. And then we had a green apple and a bowl of water on their chair as well. So what are two amazing things to give yourself more energy through the day is water, and a green apple is as effective as ice, the drug ice. So if you have a green apple, if you've got low energy, go and have a green apple, skin on, and you'll notice that your energy just skyrockets. So we had those things. We were very conscious with what we were giving away, and people loved that as well. The little inspirational quote on the front of the book and everything. So it's all those little touches, guys. Now, since the workshop, we've then followed up with everybody. We've had a discovery call. But the other thing that we did was we locked in the date for the next one. And for all those people that came to the first workshop, we've given them a discount for the next one. And we've had over 50% of the people buy their tickets for the second one already. And they've already started referring people and bringing friends and family and all that kind of thing. So you've got to kind of keep the ball rolling. Don't just have one workshop and then there's nothing. You've got to have that next thing that you can plug them into. Now, the whole idea of this podcast is to help you guys hold a workshop that doesn't suck. Now, ours didn't suck. Was it perfect? Nope. Have we learned and grown and critiqued it to build from it and go, how can we do it better? What can we chop out? What can we add in? We've got the feedback. What were people's favorite parts? So now we're going to focus more on those things as well. So you've got to have someone in the room, or your colleague or whoever, you need that feedback. It's so critical, and it's so important to get it back from your guests as well. How did they feel? Did they love the food? Like they just loved all of it. So that was our intention, was to give people a wow experience. And I feel like we did that, and the feedback that we've got confirms that we did that. And we just overvalued. We just gave them so much value. We, they were just blown away. So that's what we want for our listeners. That's what we want for you. If you want to hold a workshop, that's pretty much the process. And now that we've learned how to do it, now it's just like, how do we scale it? So we want double the people next time. And we've got to be honest too, Joel, like we set the price low, and we knew that we were going to take a hit on it. We didn't set the price to make a profit. We set the price so people had skin in the game, and it worked. Okay. There was no one canceled. No one rang us and said, I can't come. Everybody showed up, which was amazing. And that to me is unheard of at workshops as well, because how often do we go to workshops and 75% of the people are there, but like 25% didn't even rock up, so we didn't want that. We wanted everyone to have their bum on the seat, and we did a great job of that. So what else do you want to add around that, Joel?
Yeah, well, the statistics around like workshops and events at the price point of between $17 and $47, I think it was. I learned this from our bigger one earlier in the year. For that larger event, we were expecting, going off track records of other workshops, that 40% of people would not show up. Here's what I know now, though. People were walking away from our event saying they would have spent $1,000 on that event. They've been to other events where they've paid higher amounts of money and got less value. Like realistically, who feeds their customers at lunch, like properly, not some little crappy sandwich bag and like, it's crazy, right? Who actually like runs the numbers and goes, you know what? I could get these cheap chairs that people are going to be sitting on all day. But have you ever, I'm curious, have you ever been to a workshop where there's been crappy chairs and you've been uncomfortable and it's really hard to even pay attention because you're just uncomfortable, or you're chucked in like sardines because they've oversold the event? And that's because, I don't feel that shows respect to the people that have put their hard-earned money down. So what we did is we knew that people were going to walk away knowing that they would have paid 10 times what we charge, like over that. So it's like, actually, what was it? Like 300% more. Crazy, right? Like, so like if you want your event to be like that, well, then you just have to go over. Now, how did we justify that from a business perspective? Well, I backed us to be able to get people into the next level. And as soon as if you've actually got a solid product to get people into later to further continue their journey, and you do it in a caring, conscious way, people will want to work with you, and because we both have skin in the game now. I love that my clients are paying a substantial amount of money, and I know that I have to show up like crazy. I need to bring my A game, and I'm excited to bring my A game, and I expect that from them. And that's how we pay for that event. That's how you know. But if you just want to do a low cost or free event and you haven't got a business model behind it, you're just doing it because you want to be up the front of the room. You can do that for free. Go speak at a Lions Club or something. Don't put an event on. It's not. And we I hear about it all the time, Kristine. I hear about it, like people, like they're such God-giving souls. They want to help the world. And I'm just curious, like, I just feel like if they just valued themselves that little tiny bit more, they'd realize that they're worth the money. They deserve to earn a good income, because could you put a price on, like, the really great ones that you've been to, the really great workshops where it's like you've got those gold nuggets and you've actually applied and it's made you a lot of money or bettered your relationship? Or can you really put a price on that? Like,
I don't think so, mate. Like you've hit it on the head there. Like people look at the cost as a cost and not an investment. And I think that's where people really go wrong in life. A lot of people know on our podcast, our regular listeners, Joel and I have multiple coaches. We don't just have like just ourselves coaching ourselves. Like, you have business coaches, life coaches, personal training coaches. We've got, body coaches, energy management coaches. We've got a team around us coaching us in all aspects of our life. And these workshops that we go to in this self-development and the investment in that allows us to grow as a person. It allows us to be a better human being. It allows us to live a more blissful life, because every time we go, we're shedding more and more of our limiting beliefs. We're creating the armor, that bulletproof armor that is going to take us to that next level, and that's what these workshops and courses are about. But here's the thing. People get addicted to going to self-development courses, but then they don't implement what they learn. And we were very clear with the people that came to our workshop, and we gave them those statistics, and we said, you know what? Most of you are not going to implement what you learn here. And that's not what we want from this workshop. So that's why we individually had discovery calls with everyone that came along, and we got really clear with what their next steps were. Okay. We got really clear with what are they going to implement? How are they going to hold themselves accountable? How are they going to keep those promises to themselves? By what time frame do they want to achieve that? Can we, bring it forward? Can we just get out of our comfort zone a little bit and maybe stretch ourselves that little bit to make that goal, come to fruition sooner rather than later? So these are all the amazing things that we've been able to do. And we're learning just as much from the people that are learning from us, you know, and that's what I love about what we do. It's like Joel and I are constantly learning from people. So we had a blast on the day, and I know the next one is just going to be even bigger and better. And I just really want to say, like, just back yourself, because we put this off, didn't we, Joel? We procrastinated way too long to do this workshop. And now, like, Joel and I lived in the same town for a few years, didn't do the workshop. And now that we live in different towns, we've decided to make it difficult. And now we do the workshop. So like, there's going to be no perfect time. And, you know, if you're waiting to have all the knowledge, if you're waiting to have all the skills, if you're waiting to have all the content, if you're waiting for things to be perfect, for the perfect climate, for the perfect, you know, for the perfect route, like, it's just get in there and do it, guys. Like, we want to give you the courage today to go, you know what, I've been thinking about this too long, it's time to just put it out there and do it. So we didn't use any fancy marketing strategies. We didn't go with this ridiculous goal of we want 1,000 people in the room. We just went, no, you know what, our first one, because we're learning as well, let's just fill the room, let's just get 20 people. Next one, let's see if we can double it, you know, and we'll just grow from there. So do you want to add anything before we close off, Joel?
Yeah, I really do, actually. You made an amazing point there. Oh, God, this is really a bee in my bonnet with the market out there. For God's sake, you do not need to have high-end marketing, expensive funnels, Facebook ads on your first event. If you are out, like we've created a successful business. We've got successful businesses before this. I don't even have a website. I do not have business cards. I do not have fancy headshots. I do not have fancy banners. Kristine built our flyers. You can guerrilla it. You can guerrilla marketing. You can have a bit of, like, a true entrepreneur doesn't need to go spend a ton of money. And for God's sake, don't get sucked into spending a ton of money on marketing when you don't need it. You do not need it at the beginning. Will you see Kristine and I getting, business shots? Yes, you will. Will you see us paying for marketing one day? Yes, you will. Like, I'm sure of it. Not at the front end. You know, Kristine and I, we know where we're going. We've got the foundation down. We've spoken to accountants. We've spoken to, who we need to speak to. But just because we spoke to them doesn't mean we had to put our hard-earned cash down. You know, wait till you've got a proof of concept. You know, like, if we'd have got through to the end of our retreat, I've got retreat on the brain. We're going to do one. So if you're interested, reach out. But like, until we had a working model, and it wasn't like lightning striking once, we had to make sure that, like, it worked. That's when you start to pull the trigger on these other things and start, okay, because, and you know what, Kristine and I didn't, and this is a different topic, but we haven't gone and bought crazy shit from the money we've made. It's reinvesting back into the business. So if you're not prepared to do that, if you think your business is just going to be an ATM, and we're not looking around going, oh, who can we pay to do this crazy marketing for? You know what I mean? Like, obviously we've got a lot to learn, and a lot to do, but we're not going to just chuck that money straight down the drain. So, like, don't put the cart before the horse. You don't need this massive marketing at the front end, because you're probably just going to do your money. When no one shows up to that event, that's going to hurt. So, like, Kristine, you've probably seen a ton of this, like, way in, like, before we close out. But yeah, I feel so sorry for when I see these coaches come out of these coaching events and they think the first thing they need to do is go pay for all this branding and BS, when, you know, what happens when you attract a client and you can't sell? You can't invite people to come in because you've got no context. No one knows who you are. You know, you got to build it up. Like, be careful. It's so easy to go out the back door in a business at the front end if you think you got to outsource on day one. Be mindful, because you can do you make the mistakes when it's not costing you a lot of money. There's my rant.
Oh, I totally agree, mate. And you're totally right. And I was one of those people that poured thousands of dollars into ClickFunnels and marketing when I didn't need to, you know. Yes, I agree. We will be doing stuff like that down the track. But when you're building in the beginning, you don't need to do that. And Joel mentioned that, you know, I do the flyers for us. And it's so simple. There are so many amazing apps that already have the templates done. You just change the colors to your branding colors, add in the information, and boom, there's a flyer. It takes probably 15 minutes, you know. To give you an idea of some of those, there's Canva. There's a new one I'm using at the moment, which is over, I think it's about $20 a month. Totally worth it. It's incredible. But you can Google, you know, branding colors and like a lot of this stuff, you can just Google and find out how to do things, you know. But yeah, as Joel said, you don't need to be outlaying a lot of money for this stuff. And you know what I've learned in business, and I've had a few businesses in my time, it's all around relationships. It's who do you know? Start networking. Who do I know that has a catering business? Who do I know that is great with marketing? Who do I know, you know, that we could get in as a guest speaker? Or who do I know that has done an event or had the success that, you know, I want to create? You know, it's going and asking questions of these people. People are more than happy to pour their knowledge and wisdom into you if you're willing to ask, you know. And a lot of people give this advice away for free as well. So get resourceful. Don't have the shitty belief that I had, like, oh, who wants to hear from little old me, like little old Kristine Drummond that grew up in Cootamundra, like a place of 6,000 people. Like, who am I to get in front of a room and, you know, share my story and share content? You know, get rid of that belief, guys, because when you're your true authentic self, living in your values, sharing your passion, sharing from your heart, there's a need. People want to hear your thoughts. They want to hear your content. They want to hear different people's opinions about different things and different ways of doing things, you know. And there's no new thoughts out there. You know, there's definitely no new thoughts, but there's different ways and different ways of saying things, different ways of doing things, you know, recreating things all the time. And social media is great. It really is, but it's also made us so disconnected as a race, you know, and that's why workshops are so important, to get that human connection, to get different people in a room, networking, like-minded people that are, since our workshop, everyone is each other's cheer squad. We created a messenger group, and every day they're in there cheering each other on. This happened, or they send an inspirational quote. And it's just been so beautiful to watch those relationships blossom. And when you're contributing to someone else's success and happiness, when you're cheering them on, that's the quickest way to fulfillment, guys. That's the quickest way to living a blissful life, you know, and that's what we want for our listeners. So hopefully this has been helpful. Whether you want to hold a workshop or not, we've given you a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge today that you can apply to any aspect of your life, you know, even if it's just to get people to a birthday party, even if it's just to get family to a family reunion. Like, it comes down to asking and just being resourceful and having those relationships and thinking about, who do I know in my life that could be interested in this? Or who do they know? Every person you know knows hundreds, if not thousands, of people that you don't, you know, and they're going to be able to open doors for you as well. So that's pretty much all I had today, Joel. You know,
amazing. Yeah, this is I love this podcast so much because we've given specific tactics how to go win. We haven't held anything back, and I don't believe we ever do. If someone, you know, wants to blow their business up and they want tactics to start from an event and go one to many and become oversubscribed, then yeah, like, share this with them. And yeah, I love it. So congratulations, Kristine. That was fire. Well done.
Microphone drop. No,
Don't drop that one. Don't drop
the microphone. No, thanks to all our listeners. Congratulations on tuning in. We are loving the support. We're still getting so many messages and feedback from our listeners. It's insane. We read them all. We always respond to every single person that gives us that feedback. So we appreciate it. And we love that you guys are getting value from these Boss Talk podcasts. Please share them. We want to go and move our podcast up the hottest 100. So if you can share it on your social media, share it individually with people. If you're driving, going on a trip, make sure you're playing us in the background so you can listen and learn how to heighten your vibration and really start playing full out. So that's it, guys. Thank you. And we will see you next week on our next podcast.
Damn. Yeah.